Hey, you guys, you want to know how I turned $1,000 into over $39,000 on one wholesale transaction? My name is Hakiim Herring, your real estate partner, and thank you for joining me as we unlock real estate secrets and tips to allow you to master the game. Now today, we're going to actually launch a new episode that I call Real Estate Replay. Real Estate Replay is all about going over some of our previous real estate transactions, and I'm going to break those transactions down so that you can know and learn from the actual transaction so that you understand what it's like to do a wholesale transaction. Because a lot of times, you hear about the money that's being made during a wholesale deal, but you don't know the ins and outs. You don't know what goes into actually making a wholesale deal works. So today I want to talk about 109 Hampton Oaks. It's a wholesale transaction that we did and cleared over $39,000 on one deal. So let me break it down for you. We're going to go from the beginning. Number one, the first thing we do when we're actually looking for wholesale deals, wholesalers, we do what's called, we pull a leads list. We utilize a platform called Propstream. Propstream is a great resource for us when we're looking to build leads lists. The reason being is because Propstream has a bunch of tools and resources that allows us to actually pull the contacts of any property based on a specific criteria. So Propstream allows us to pull properties based on vacant homes, tax lien, property liens, divorce, tired landlords if they own the home for a long time. You can really narrow in on the exact details that you're looking for when you're pulling a leads list from Propstream. Propstream allows you to pull up to 10,000 contacts. So this is 10,000 addresses of homes that fit your criteria of what you're looking for. And for Propstream, as you know, they have a really great platform and they offer a trial period. So I'll drop that link in the description below so you can actually check it out yourself as well. Once we actually pull a list from Propstream, we go to another platform called Versium. We use Versium so that we can actually skip trace the leads. Now, what is skip trace? Skip trace is where we actually pull the actual telephone numbers and contact numbers of the properties that we just uploaded. So this platform actually pulls all of those contact numbers. And the great thing about Versium is they only charge you for the hits. If it makes a contact, if they're able to pull the contact, then they'll charge you for it. Propstream also offers the same service, but Versium offers it much cheaper at a fraction of the cost. So again, we're always looking to save a dime. So this is a better route. Pull the list from Propstream, skip it on Versium, and I'll drop that link below as well. Right? So once you actually have your contact numbers from Versium, the next step is for you to actually start making cold calls. That's the one part of the wholesaling business that people have to get over that hurdle. We don't like it. A lot of times we are shy about getting on the phone, but that's one of the key parts of being a wholesaler is getting over that hurdle so that you can make the phone calls. You have to make the calls. I always say those phone calls, those leads lead to contracts, contracts lead to closings, closings lead to the bag, closings lead to the money. So it's important for you to make the phone calls. So when you're actually cold calling, you can do it yourself or you can hire a cold caller. The more experienced wholesalers, once they go through learning the ropes of doing it themselves, they'll hire a cold caller or a cold caller team. And they're hitting the phones. They're on the phone all day long, calling. We actually use a system called Mojo Dialer. It allows us to call thousands of people per day and just hitting the phones until we actually make contact with an actual motivated seller. That's the name of the game. You're cold calling until you reach a seller that's interested in the cash offer, right? We actually have proven script that we use when we're actually cold calling the sellers. And again, I'll drop the cold call script in the description below, because I want to give you guys the tools. I want to give you the tools and the resources that we utilize on a daily basis to do wholesale deals, right? So what's next? We pulled the leads list, we skip trace, we started cold calling, right? So for this particular property on 109 Hampton Oaks, we were able to reach the seller. The seller was willing to entertain a cash offer. We negotiated a cash offer of $80,000 purchase price for this particular property. The homeowner was motivated to sell. She had some family issues that she was willing to sell her property. She was ready to sell, had to sell within a time period. It was important for her that she was able to close within a 30-day window. She actually had went out of town. I believe it was Pennsylvania. She had traveled out of town, was on a deadline to get the property sold. So we were able to contract the property for $80,000. Now, let me give you a key benefit about wholesaling. What I like about wholesaling more than any real estate transaction, anything I've done in real estate over the years, and I've been in this business a long time. I've done it all, but wholesaling is the only pocket of real estate, the niche of real estate where you don't have to put up earnest money. You don't have to put up earnest money to secure a deal. That's optional. A lot of times, majority of the deals that we've done, we put no money up front, right? The only investment in the property is when we are actually taking pictures of the property. So if you have a camera, you can actually do it yourself and save. That's what I love about wholesaling. There's no money up front. So we were able to secure a contract on this property for $80,000. Our actual wholesale contract, I'll provide a link below so you can actually get a copy of our wholesale contract so you can see it as well. Again, I want you guys to have the tools and the resources so that you could win as well. So we contracted the property for $80,000. Once we contract the property, we immediately start marketing the property for sale. So where do we go to market the property, right? So one of the key places we utilize is Facebook Marketplace. Facebook groups have a lot of investors, cash buyers available, but I take it a step further. I always list the property on the MLS systems so I can cast a wider net. I want to market the property to every potential investor, home buyer, anyone that's in the market that's looking for a good deal. And that's what we do on all of our properties. So when we actually started marketing this property, we put it out there for $125,000. Within a couple of days, we got an offer for $126,000 with $3,000 towards closing costs, which was a pretty good deal because we, again, remind you that I have it under contract for $80,000. We have a buyer now that's locking this property down under contract for $126,000. And us as wholesalers, we make the money in the middle. We're the middleman. So let me break down how to close a wholesale transaction. So now that we have the property under contract, there's a due diligence period. So it's usually 3 to 5 days. You give the potential buyer the opportunity to come out, send his inspectors out, inspect the property, send his contractors out. They want to know exactly what they're getting, what they're buying. So you give the buyer the opportunity to view the property, right? And during this time, when I'm working with a seller, I ask for 2 days. For showing the property, I ask for 2 days because I utilize 2 days to show the property, right? And it gives the buyers the opportunity to come out and take a look at the property. And I don't have a lot of foot traffic of individuals coming in and out of the property. So that's a key tip. And I apologize, I skipped over that. That's a key tip. Only 2 days of showings, right? But once you have a property under contract, you have a due diligence period. That's usually 3 to 5 days. This gives the buyer the opportunity to send the home inspector out to do all of his due diligence, do everything that he needs to do to make sure that this is the property that he wants. Because once he submits his earnest money, there's no refund. After the due diligence period, there's no refund. So once we got past the due diligence period, the property checked out, it was to his liking, and we were able to move forward towards closing. The seller, again, needed to press forward to get the deal done. It was a family emergency, so she needed to sell the home to free up some capital. So we actually were able to move forward to sell this home. So when you're actually closing a wholesale transaction, here's a couple of key tips that I want you guys to keep in mind. Number one, you want to utilize an investor-friendly closing attorney. And why do I say investor-friendly? you want to work with a closing attorney that's familiar with doing creative real estate deals. Not every attorney is familiar with double closings and wholesaling and no earnest money deals. So it's a scenario where you want to work with a closing attorney who is familiar with doing these type of transactions. That's number one. When you're doing a wholesale deal, there's two ways to close out a wholesale transaction, and I'll give you the techniques of doing both. Number one, you can actually sell a wholesale transaction through assignment, right? And this is where the wholesaler will assign the interest in the contract to the end buyer for a fee, right? So again, I have a contract for $80,000, and this is where I would assign my interest in that contract, so that price point of the contract, to the end buyer. For the difference of that $126,000 will come to me as my wholesale fee, right? So that's called an assignment or a wholesale fee. Second way to close a wholesale transaction is through double closings. And there's a couple of ways to do a double closing. So a double closing is when you actually buy the property on the front end and you turn around and sell the property to the end buyer. So it's usually a transaction that's done within the same hour. Like you go and sign the paperwork to close on one, and then you turn around and close on the transaction to sell it to the other investor, the end buyer. And I always call it the bang, 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 bang. So it's like bang, 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 bang. We close one, then we go and close the other. So what happens is there's two ways to utilize this exit strategy. So for double closing, you can actually utilize what's called transactional funding, right? So transactional funding is just that. There's funds that are available. There are lenders on the market that will lend you the money to actually purchase the wholesale deal for the intention of selling it to the investor, the end buyer. So they'll fund the front end. They'll give you the money for the $80,000 to purchase the deal on the front end. And they actually make money. They charge a fee for lending you the purchase money. So they'll lend you the $80,000 so that you can actually close out on the transaction, take ownership, and sell it to the end buyer investor. As long as those funds are readily available and approved to fund the transaction, the transactional lender will release the funds to allow you to do the deal, where you'll buy it on the front end, fund the deal with the transactional lender, and then you'll sell it immediately with the end buyer and fund the transaction, and you'll make the difference from buying the property and then turning around and selling it. That's how you do a double closing. The second way for you to do a double closing is called pass-through funding. Pass-through funding is where the end buyer, a lot of times you'll have an end buyer or investor who will have cash. They'll have $125,000, $126,000 to fund the entire transaction. So on the front end, on the A to B side, when you're actually buying it from the seller, it's going to be a dry closing. We're just going to go, we're going to sign the paperwork of buying the property from the seller. We're then going to turn around and sell the property to the end buyer for the $126,000. The difference in buying and selling the property is what you make as a wholesaler. Now, when you're doing pass-through funding, it has to be disclosed. You have to let all parties involved know that we're utilizing the end buyer's funds to fund the entire transaction. That's called pass-through funding. These are all creative techniques of doing real estate and doing wholesale transactions. That's why I love it, because you do not have to use any of your own money. There's so many creative ways to do it, and it allows you to do more deals, more money, less time, less liability, and you can do this virtually from anywhere. Again, I will tell you, I've been in this business over 20 years. I've done everything from the real estate agent side of things. I've done foreclosures. I've done fix and flips. I've done wholesale, short sale, you name it, I've done it. And hands down, wholesaling is the way to go. It's the way to go. And what we have done is I actually created 2 courses for you guys. I have the 6 Steps to 6 Figures Wholesale Masterclass, and it teaches you everything you need to know about wholesaling real estate. And I also have the Partner Up Inner Circle coaching program. This program is where I work with you one-on-one as a wholesale student, and I teach you all of the ins and outs of wholesaling real estate and building your wholesaling business. Again, I will put those links below so that you can sign up for our next masterclass. Now, I am all about giving as much information and jewels and knowledge and value as I can to this channel. I want you guys to learn. So make sure you hit that notification button, you hit that subscribe button, make sure you tune in, because we're going to be action-packed loaded with information. Thank you for joining me on the Real Estate Replay. My name is Hakiim Herring, your real estate partner, as we unlock real estate secrets and tips to allow you to master the game. And remember, partner up to level up.